So the unique thing about this draft is it's not really as top heavy of a draft as we've seen in recent years. The talent in this one is kind of spread out throughout. It's a really stacked tight end class. It's a really stacked cornerback class. So those are some positions that might fall because they're a little bit more plentiful, and some other positions are a little bit tougher to come by in this year's class. And there are going to be some names that fall. And Joey Porter Jr. was the first big one. There's speculation that he could have been the Steelers pick at number 17. They end up moving up to 14, taking Broderick Jones. And then they get Joey Porter Jr. to kick off the second round at pick number 32 this year. So was I surprised to see him fall out of the first round? I would say yes. It wasn't like unbelievable. I thought he would probably be a first round pick. The lowest I had him go was 30 in one of my final mocks. But I thought there was a chance. It's stacked cornerback class. Maybe you think he's only limited to press man coverage. But that's exactly what the Steelers do. It's a perfect fit for them. I think continuing the storyline was incredible. We had talked about this as a fit for months and months and months. And it finally came to fruition. We know the Steelers love the lineage, reuniting the NFL families. You look at TJ and Derek Watt. You look at Cam and Connor Hayward, Joey Porter Jr. and Joey Porter, of course. Joey Porter, not an active player, but was the linebackers coach, is no longer. But just a really cool fit, a really cool storyline, and a really good fit for the scheme as well. I love this pick. I will say I also can't get every pick that I liked into this video. There are a bunch, but I'm limiting it somewhat. If you want my analysis to every pick for every team, pretty much. Granted, there are some players I'm not going to know that well. Point blank, period. I tried to do as much research and film studies as I can, but it's just, I can't get to everybody. There are going to be guys from, southeastern Louisiana that might get drafted that I've just never heard of before. You look at the defensive tackle out of Northwest Missouri State last year that the Patriots grabbed. Never heard of him. There are going to be some players like that, but I'll talk about the ones I feel good about, the ones I know, and overall team draft classes in a separate video on the channel, so make sure you're subscribed if you're not subscribed already. And we'll talk about Michael Mayer to the Raiders. I was shocked he made it out of the first round. We thought that at least 2 tight ends would go in round 1, if not 3, maybe even in a strange world 4 stacked tight end class, but only 1 goes, again, because of the value throughout the draft. We saw a big run on day 2. Michael Mayer did not actually even kick that off. We'll talk about that in a separate video, the most shocking picks of day 2. But Mayer's just a really, really good safe player. If I had to bet on I'll say a group of 5 to 10 players in this class to be just really good pros, he would be at or near the top of the list. Mayer, I think, is just consistent, great hands, will win the 50-50 balls. I trust Michael Mayer with my life to catch the ball when he needs to. Decent enough run blocker. I thought the Raiders liked Foster Moreau. You can run 2 tight end sets even if you do. So Mayer's just clean. He is a solid prospect and very good value, I think, at 35. Could have been about a top 20 player in this class easily. Another guy that I'm not shocked to see fall out of the first round just because he plays a less valuable position. The league has showed us they don't value safety and they don't value nickel corner, and Brian Branch is a nickel corner. And I saw a lot of Lions fans being kind of surprised about this pick, being like, why would we get Brian Branch? We already have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And maybe that logic makes sense in the first round as to why you'd pass on him. But in round 2, absolutely not at all. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is on a 1-year deal. Brian Branch can compete to play right away. I think in your dime packages, absolutely you will see him on the field, if not in their base nickel. I'm not sure if Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's now going to get pushed back to start at safety. I think that could happen. You could run, of course you're going to have to, depending on what the offense is showing you. You could run 2 nickels essentially, which is not a nickel defense anymore. But you have Brian Branch in the slot. You have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in the other slot if they're running 4 wide receiver sets. Maybe you use Chauncey Gardner-Johnson or Brian Branch as a tight end eraser. But Branch is at his best near the line of scrimmage, playing in that overhang role. I think he could potentially play on the back end, but won't have to for Detroit. Absolutely love this pick. Brian Branch is a phenomenal player, was a top 15 player for me. And the Detroit Lions, who had a very interesting first round, I think, caught fire with this one. Love Brian Branch, and I love the fit. I know Bengals fans wanted a tight end here. Darnell Washington was on the board, dropping because of an apparent knee injury. ACL reportedly was torn in the national championship game. I couldn't find anything to corroborate that. I just saw that a little bit. But how was he so explosive, and not even just explosive at the combine, but very quick, unbelievably fast three cone for Darnell Washington. His agility testing was very, very good. And I can understand wanting him in Cincinnati. But DJ Turner fills an immediate need and is very talented. Yeah, spotty at times on tape, but I thought overall his man coverage was very good. I don't really care about tackling too much at corner. I think it's a plus, but I don't take too many points away if you're not an exceptional force in the run game. I like my corners to be able to cover really well, and I think that's what DJ Turner will eventually evolve into, is right now a freak athlete that is still developing as a corner, but I think he's pretty good in man coverage, and I think is a really good fit in Cincinnati. I think he will end up being a starting outside corner for the Bengals, and they needed that. And they needed more depth at corner as well. And DJ Turner both is too good to pass up at 60, in my opinion, and a very good fit for the Bengals' needs. And I, again, really like this one. Jump back a pick here to O'Cyrus Torrence at 59. Just thought the value was really good. Another player that was talked about as a potential first-round pick. You could argue that he is the best guard in this class, depending on how you feel about Peter Skoronski, if you consider him to be a tackle. Best pure guard. You could make an argument for O'Cyrus Torrence, depending on the scheme. You want a zone blocking scheme, guard, Steve Avila, I get it. I could totally get on board with that. But power is the name of the game with O'Cyrus Torrence, and I think he's a pretty good fit in Buffalo for that reason. This is a team that loves to be physical at the point of attack, and O'Cyrus Torrence fits that to a T. He falls to 59. You had a need on the interior of the offensive line. This is another guy that I think comes in and probably puts up a really good chance to start at right guard right away. Really like him. I thought he could have gone a lot earlier in this second round. Some people thought he could go as high as maybe to the Commanders in the first, maybe the Jaguars at 24. There were some options, maybe even the Ravens at 22 I saw, although I didn't really see that one quite so much. But O'Cyrus Torrence, I thought was just really good value, fills a need. That's how you get on a video like this. Value plus need. I'm all over it. And I also really love the Drew Sanders pick made by the Broncos. This is a former 5-star edge recruit at Alabama. Didn't end up working out there. Was in between Texas. Can't believe he didn't go there. Ends up going to Arkansas and balls out. I would call him definitely an off-ball linebacker. He's played Mike for Arkansas and done so at a high level, but has also played on the outside and been very effective as a blitzer. I think Drew Sanders has the chops to be, a move-around linebacker depending on where you actually want to play him, depending on what you want to do. He's an exceptional blitzer up the middle, and I think that's extremely valuable. And when you look at the linebackers in this class, Jack Campbell went at number 18 to the Lions, and we did not see another off-ball linebacker go until 67, which was Drew Sanders. And I think the linebackers were very close. The top 4, I would say, depending on what you wanted. They were very close. And Drew Sanders could have been easily at the top of that list. I really, really like Drew Sanders. And you didn't take him at 18 like the Lions did. You didn't take him at 28, at 38, 48, 58. Basically picked 68 all the way down the board. Got tremendous value. And you get a versatile linebacker that can be effective rushing the passer as well as dropping back in coverage. Really like Drew Sanders. I think his missed tackle rate was a little high for my liking. But overall, you put on the tape and he flashes. He's a guy that can make plays and was fantastic for Arkansas this past year. He was a force to be reckoned with and is great value here in the third round. Had to get a Giant on this list, right? Big Giants fan, as you guys know. And Jalen Hyatt could have been the pick at 25. Just could have been. I know it would have been a little early for him for just what is purely a deep threat right now. Hasn't really had to fight off press coverage, a lot of free releases at the line, a lot of just run down the field, run past somebody, and use your ball skills on a deep option to make a play. And that's all right, because you didn't take him at 25, you didn't take him at 57, you traded up and you got him at 73. And I'm very comfortable with the trade up when you factor in that he might be the best deep threat in the entire draft. And I think you could probably say that he is. It won the Biletnikoff for a reason last season at Tennessee, and I do have concerns about how translatable production in that offense will be. It is a wide spread offense where these receivers are standing on the sideline to create separation, and a lot of the times Jalen Hyatt could just long stride right past somebody, catch the deep ball on the fly. He's got an extra gear when the ball is in the air to go and track it down. But I think he doesn't have to be wide receiver 1 on the Giants, and will not be right away. When you factor in all the different slot receivers that the Giants have, they needed more speed, especially on the outside, and I think that could be Jalen Hyatt. Will have to develop as a route runner, no question, if he's going to be an every down type of player, but he is immensely valuable just in terms of what he's going to do to space the field for the Giants, create opportunities for guys underneath. Really, really like the value of this. I think 73 is too good to pass up on, and I know they moved up on him, but I think you had to. Cedric Tillman went the next pick. I thought that was a really solid selection as well, and that's why I have it in this video. I think the 2 Tennessee receivers were really good. Cedric Tillman might present the best overall package of being an NFL caliber X receiver, whereas Jalen Hyatt, you have some question marks, truly. Cedric Tillman, you worry about injury a little bit, but the player's really, really good, and I think the value on this is really good. I don't think... if the Giants took Cedric Tillman, for example, my favorite team, I'll go back to it. If they took him at 57, I would have been really happy with that. And you didn't take him at 57. He falls to 74 for the Browns, and you needed help at receiver. Receiver was a position I absolutely thought they would target as early as they possibly could. We knew the Browns did not have a lot of top picks. You look back to the Deshaun Watson trade. They had to make the most of what they did have. Siaki Ika was another pick. Wasn't thrilled with that for them, but if he develops as a nose tackle, and you can just be in the way and hold up blocks, that's his value. Cedric Tillman, though, you can see developing into a true wide receiver 1 if things go well. And at 74, I think that's pretty awesome. Can't really say that about a lot of receivers in this class. And that's true of Josh Downs at 79. He's never going to be the wide receiver 1 X outside receiver. However, he wins in other ways. I think he's going to be a maniac in the slot for the Colts. And this is going to be the best receiver Anthony Richardson has ever played with. Took Anthony Richardson at 4. He had Ricky Pearsall and Justin Shorter. And, who they have the year before? Who transferred to Maryland? Jacob Copeland. But Anthony Richardson was not the full-time starter that year. But now you go to an offense with Michael Pittman Jr. on the outside, kind of a chain mover. Josh Downs is a chain mover in the slot. He is a really good route runner with really good hands. Wins contested catch balls at the college level. Don't know how translatable that's going to be into the NFL, but the rate is really nice for a smaller receiver who's about 5'9". Really like Josh Downs. He doesn't really do a whole lot to catch the ball outside of his frame, so you're going to have to put it on him, and maybe you think that's a concern. If you're new to Anthony Richardson and think he's just an inaccurate running quarterback, I think you're misinformed. I think he's going to develop, and I think he's going to be really consistent for Indianapolis, and getting him just a really safe receiver in Josh Downs at 79, I just think is phenomenal. Starting slot receiver right away, in my opinion. And I saw Dolphins fans that were not happy with this pick. Devon Achane at number 84. Now, the Dolphins did not have a lot of picks in this draft. Had to make them count. I really like the Cam Smith pick, and I thought about putting that in this video as well. But decided to go with their second pick, I believe, overall, which was Devon Achane at number 84. Really love the way he fits into this offense. And when you factor in what makes the Dolphins offense click on the ground, it is speed and home run threat ability. And that's part of how we've seen Raheem Mostert perform. That's part of why we've seen, some of these absolute burners, Jeff Wilson, perform well in that offense. Devon Achane, oh my goodness, can this guy fly? Ran in the 4.3s at the combine, and I thought he could even run faster than that based on his tape. Plays incredibly fast in pounds, just probably not an every down back, only about 200 or so pounds, and that's just probably not a guy that's going to see 200 touches as a rookie. It's possible, especially if somebody goes down with injury, but this is your rotational back. Put him in, and he's going to take someone to the house for you. His speed is just too big. That's like the worst adjective I could have picked. But his speed is just unbelievable. And if you can create the crease A-Chain's going to hit it, and he's going to take it to the house. He's that type of a player. He's a perfect fit for the offense, and you got him at 84. I think there were fewer... let me rephrase this. I think there were not many better fits for player to team in the draft than Devon A-Chain to the Dolphins. I thought this was fantastic. Ravens just going best player available. Patrick Queen has had some ups and downs in Baltimore, no question. Trenton Simpson is a really nice replacement. Is not the most polished player overall, has not really taken the next step, which is, becoming a great cover player, is athletic enough to play man coverage. So that's not really a super big concern. But the feel for zone is still developing, and he just falls because linebackers are falling now. It's an undervalued position, and he is not a complete player. And I think that when you can't find a complete player at a devalued position, those guys are just going to fall down the board a little bit. But he has high potential. This is a freak athlete who plays so fast, sideline to sideline range, and when he's playing downhill, he is a force to be reckoned with. Really like Trenton Simpson, and I think that in the Baltimore defense, he's going to have an opportunity to thrive. Probably see him as their will. Roquan, have him at Mike, and then Tyus Bowser is your, Sam backer, can blitz sometimes, can drop back in coverage. I think Trenton Simpson's a perfect fit into this defense. Not sure what the future holds for Patrick Queen. I think EDC, Eric DeCosta, the Ravens GM, came out and said they're not picking up the fifth-year option on Patrick Queen now, which, yeah, I get it. Correction, it was Tom Telesco of the Chargers who said they're not picking up Kenneth Murray's fifth-year option, the linebacker out of Oklahoma, drafted by the Chargers not too long ago. But Patrick Queen, Eric DeCosta has been, quote, non-committal on. So, not yet, but it probably won't get picked up if I had to guess. And then the last one here we'll talk about is Darnell Washington for the Steelers. They grabbed him at pick 93 at the very end of the third round. This is someone who I thought could have gone in the first round based on tape. He is basically a sixth offensive lineman. But not only is he a sixth offensive lineman on the team, this is someone who is developing as a receiver. He's 6'7", 270 plus with pretty good hands, and has been unguardable at times in the red zone. And I think if Brock Bowers wasn't also at Georgia, a stud tight end in next year's class that you guys are going to be really thrilled to see if you don't know about him already, he is an incredible talent. And one of your teams watching this right now, one of your favorite teams is probably going to end up taking him top 10, maybe top 15, depending on what happens. But if Kyle Pitts could go at number 4, Brock Bowers can go in the top 10, I think, very comfortably. Darnell Washington apparently has some big injury red flags. That pushed him down the board all the way to 93. At pick number 93, I mean, we saw kick returners go in this range. We saw kickers go not too long after this. Take a shot. Take a shot. And they took a chance on Darnell Washington, who could be one of the better tight ends in this class, and it is a stacked tight end class. Really, really liked him. I think he's a better receiver than given credit for, and is obviously a tremendous run blocker. It's going to be a problem. He moves really well, or let me say he's fast. He tested really well in the agilities. I don't know that he's quite that quick on tape. And quick, I don't mean fast, I mean quick. Agile. I don't think that's quite his game, but it doesn't have to be. And it's rare to find a tight end that can really move. Kyle Pitts is kind of one that stands out as being a unicorn because of how explosive and twitchy he is. Dalton Kincaid is the closest thing that you might find to that in this year's class in terms of twitch. I know Kuntz down the board from Old Dominion tested as the highest RAS scorer of all time, but I'm not sure he's quite as quick as Kyle Pitts, who at least on film. I think athletic testing is one thing, but to go out there and actually show it in pads is different. But taking a chance on Darnell Washington, this is when you'd want to do it. If he has a medical red flag and you say, oh man, I can't believe we wasted 93 on him. No one's going to say that because the upside is so immense. But that is my best picks of day 2. There were a lot more that I really liked that I couldn't fit into this video. Let me know what yours were down in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.